Welcome to LMP's Orchid tutorial. Step-by-step instructions to create an orchid, link it to Scopus and to LMP. What is Orchid? The Open Researcher and Contributor ID. The Orchid ID is a unique digital identifier used to associate your work with you. As you know, searching in PubMed for an individual author, especially one with a common name, like myself, can result in many publications that are not associated with that author. Not only does this create difficulty for those of us in research trying to find publications by a specific author, but for institutions as well, trying to calculate academic output and measure the contribution of that institution or its departments to academic endeavors. The Orchid ID allows us to uniquely identify our publications and associate them with a number that we can then use to calculate things such as number of publications, H-index, citations per publication, and identify those with an individual or with a department or with an institution. Why would we choose Orchid? Well, first of all, it's accessible. It's free for us as individual users to make an ORCID and link it to our publications. It's used globally and it's non-proprietary. We can include additional information, including our education, affiliations, employment, and a range of different types of work. Better than that, it has many integrations. Scopus Author Identifier, Web of Science Researcher ID, along with many others, including Google Scholar, can be integrated and linked to your ORCID ID so that your publications are automatically added to your ORCID profile and updated in a timely manner. Uptake. Increasingly mandated by publishers and funders, an increase in 34% in organizational members in 2016. What does this mean? If you've done a review for a journal or published a paper recently, you may have noticed that you have been asked to provide optionally or mandatorily your ORCID ID. This will become likely more common in the future. So our strategy at LMP is to get everybody in LMP who is an academic member, a pathologist or a scientist, to make an ORCID and to link it to LMP. And we're going to help you do that in this really quick tutorial. So the first thing you're going to do is go to orchid.org/register in your internet browser and make an ORCID if you don't already have one. Then we're going to do a few other things. We're going to link it to Scopus and we're going to connect to your ORCID profile to LMP. This is going to make LMP measurements of academic activities a lot easier for us, a lot less work later on for a little bit of effort right now. So go over to this web address, fill in the form, and make your ORCID. Once you do, you're going to get this blank ORCID profile. It's exactly like this page on the right. It doesn't have anything in it yet, and we're not going to worry about that too much. But if you do want to add a few things to it, it's really easy to do. You can just click the button right here, for example, that if you want to add your education, and it'll give you a form to fill out to put in your various educational activities. You can add some demographic details down the side here if you want to by clicking on the pencil. Very importantly, you can also control who can see this information, and you're given 3 levels of control. You're given public, trusted parties, and private as your 3 levels of control. So for all of the information that you have in your profile, you can define who you want to be able to see it. So for example, you might want everyone to be able to see your publications, while your education, employment, and funding you may want to restrict to LMP, and some other individual items on your profile you may want to be private and have nobody have access to. And you can control all of that using that easy selector. Okay, the next step is we're going to automatically import your publications, and from now and in the future, so you don't have to do this manually. How do we do that? We do that by linking to Scopus. So this is also really easy. You go into your ORCID profile and you go down to Works and you click Add Works and then Search and Link. And what it will do is it will provide you a list like this where you're going to select Scopus to ORCID. Once you click that, you'll be directed to the Scopus webpage which will then give you a list of questions that you're just going to search and fill out, and it's going to connect your profile. This is what the page will look like at Scopus. It's going to allow you to find your publications, select your profile name, review your publications, and delete any publications which don't belong to you, and then send that author ID and link it to Scopus. Now, if you already have a Scopus ID set up, this is also really easy. You can just go to Scopus, you can click Add Orchid ID, you go through this process again, and it will also send. You can do either way, both ways work. They're basically the same to link your Scopus and Orchid profiles. But this is important, it's really easy, and it allows Scopus, which automatically combs publications for the details of authors and associates them with a profile automatically. So it's going to push this information to your profile. What does that look like? If you want to go to Scopus, you can search for any author in Scopus. But for example, if you want to search for yourself, you just go and put in your last name, you put in your first initial or initials, you put in an affiliation, you click the search box, and it will give you a list of matches. You can find yourself, you can click your name, it will give you a page that will give you some information about what you've published. You can also look up a variety of other statistics. Scopus also provides more detailed information, allowing you to analyze author output and view your H-graph if you'd like to do this. However, in order to get access to this functionality, you do need to log in through the University of Toronto library, at least for the time being. If you want more information on how to do that, you can contact me and I will help you and walk you through that process. So if you have access to this, you can also click Add to your Orchid ID here. Any of these ways will link Scopus to Orchid. Okay? At the end, it'll ask you to authorize this permission, and you will click the Authorize button, and your profiles will be linked. Remember, once you get into Orchid, if you refresh the page, you should then see your works all generated here automatically. Now, if nothing appears right away, don't worry about it. It may take some time to appear, especially if you made any changes to your Scopus profile. Changes to your Scopus profile are manually reviewed by a member of the Scopus team, and then once that review has been completed, will be updated when the database is compiled and pushed to your Orchid. If you do not get your works right away put into your Orchid profile and you want to be able to do that, there are a few other easy ways to do it, and I can show you how to do that. If you send me an email and say, I'd like to do this manually because my Orchid didn't update right away, we can do that as well. So, final step, link to LMP. Very easy. Go to your Orchid page and click on Account Settings. It will then bring you to this page where you can see a list of trusted institutions and trusted individuals. So you can go down to the Trusted Individuals section. You can put in Naslene's Orchid ID number, which is here on this page, and click Search. It will show Naslene Lobo's name, and then you click Add. And then it will have it show up here in your trusted individuals. And if at any point you need to remove access of any institution or any individual, you can click the garbage can at any time, and that individual's trusted status will be immediately revoked. And we're done. That's all we want you to do right now. Just as a note, why do we want Naslene to have access? Because Naslene provides a lot of support for the department's academic activities, including her responsibilities in regards to compiling and updating LMP publication metrics, H-factor, and citations. If there are any problems or errors with your Orchid profile, she can assist in making these corrections. Thanks very much. If you haven't already, make your Orchid right now. We are hoping that 100% of LMP scientists and pathologists will have an Orchid number. UHN is also moving in this direction. From an institutional standpoint, there will be institutional Orchid links coming later this year, hopefully, and we want to be ahead of the game. Thank you all for your attention, and happy orchiding.